Welcome to Finding Alara, a safe space where authors, artists and creatives share their world-building style and mindfulness tactics. Brought to you by Bushland Castle Productions, a micro-publisher with an author support platform that nurtures creative growth and storytelling excellence. Welcome to the Indie Author Book Fair Minisode series. All of these interviews were recorded as a live stream from the Indie Author Book Fair on the 30th of November 2025 in Bunbury. Each minisode will have the live interview component with myself or Paul Vandermeer from Forest.chat, an interview the guest had with Chris Ilsley on the day, and an excerpt from one of their creative works, which may just inspire you to have a closer look at what is available in the indie book world. Feature guest 12 of 27 is David Blacker. David Blacker's career in medicine and neurology has spanned 4 decades, during which he helped lead a revolution in the care of acute stroke. As a doctor, mentor and medical researcher, his work has impacted many thousands of patients, hundreds of doctors, and numerous scientific medical fields. In 2018, he received the life-changing diagnosis of Parkinson disease, which led to a reshaping of his career to focus on research and advocacy in PD. He now writes and speaks widely about his personal experience with Parkinson disease and hopes to assist others by sharing this. Additionally, he strives to help his medical colleagues gain greater insight into living with PD and to improving their communication and interaction with people with PD. This change in direction created some unexpected opportunities, such as the surprising collaboration with former national boxing champion Ray Fazio to develop a boxing exercise program for PD. This included a groundbreaking clinical trial, Fight PD, and now highly successful training program which is improving the quality of life for people with Parkinson disease. In 2023, he faced further challenges with complications following prostate cancer surgery and a retinal detachment leading to impaired vision. Using the knowledge gained through exercise-based therapy and with the expertise of his wife, Kristen, in yoga, he has fought back to become fitter than ever. This journey from being a doctor to a patient and all the challenges that posed are described in My Fight with PD, a neurologist with Parkinson disease. After retiring from clinical practice in 2023, he has continued research into PD and stroke, based at the Perrin Institute for Neurological and Translation Science. Also in 2023, he was awarded a membership of the Order of Australia, AM, for his service to medicine and neurological research. David's book is available from Parkinson's WA, where a donation from every sale goes to support the cause, and on Amazon, with a direct link in the show notes. We have done our best to clean up the audio for the interviews, but it was recorded live. Some of the background noise has embedded itself within the file, pulling listeners back into the day of the fair. I hope that you enjoy our little chats. I will return to your ears at the end to share my key takeaways and let you know who the next guest is going to be.
Hello David, how are you?
Good.
David, you've got a very interesting story. Do you want to give us a little bit of a background into your story and how you came to write about it?
Yeah, well, I've been recently retired as a neurologist, and after working for many years in mainly stroke and stroke research, in 2018 I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and I probably had the symptoms a couple of years before that, and what struck me was that even though I knew a lot about the brain and a lot about Parkinson's and neurology, how deeply impactful that was on me. And it got me thinking about what other people who don't have the advantage that I have in terms of knowledge. And that really set me on the course to think that sharing my story would be helpful, because I'd always found I love biographies, and I've read all of Michael J. Fox's books, and most of those are focused on Parkinson's, except for this most recent one. But in 2020, his one published then was the first time I'd read it with the angle of being a patient rather than a doctor. And it was incredibly interesting to see how reassured I was that someone else was going through the same things, to see that shared journey. And in fact, what I first did is wrote a short article that was published in one of the British medical journals called Practical Neurology, and the response I got from colleagues around the world was incredible. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we can help with this. And I was also finding that I was still practicing a lot at that stage, and I had found that sharing my diagnosis with people who I was diagnosing with Parkinson's was an incredibly powerful connection. And it's that connection and story that I think can really assist with people and making I'd rather obviously not have Parkinson's. There's plenty of other things you can get, and but what I hope to do is share the things that I've been through in terms of the stress and the grief and the emotion and the psychological impact it has on you initially, and offer people some hope that you can. There are a lot of things we can do in terms of support, lifestyle, medications, and get people back on track. And people tend to, although we know the disease progresses, there certainly can be a middle phase where you get on good medication, you get good exercise, good diet, look after yourself better. It's a damn good excuse to live healthily, I can tell you. And you can find out that you feel better than you have for maybe 5 or 10 years. And I've come across a number of patients who have said that if I hadn't had Parkinson's disease, I would have kept on working myself into the grave and had a stroke or a heart attack because I wasn't looking after myself.
Would have been there earlier.
Yeah, so you've got to have a silver lining to things, and I'm using this opportunity as best I can to help as many people with Parkinson's and their families, because it not only affects the person, the people around them, and also simultaneously to encourage my colleagues to be a little bit more positive around the time. And that is happening. So
yeah, because your unique experience, well, maybe not totally
there
unique,
are a few people I know, the doctors and other neurologists with PD.
It brings a different level of understanding, doesn't it?
It's a depth of understanding that I recently had the great opportunity to speak to some graduating medical students, and I hope that will help them to understand their patients better.
Excellent. So one of the reasons I specifically wanted to interview you is that I do know a couple of people who have been diagnosed with Parkinson's and have taken on the exercise side of things in a big way, and have definitely found that it's helped them immensely. And knowing about, one of them actually told us about you before all of this came along with the Indie Author Book Fair. So you're definitely getting out there and known as someone that actually has a good thing to provide to those people.
Well, that's good to hear. And the boxing program that we're doing now is we've got more than 100 people participating in it on a regular basis, and Ray and I are hoping to expand that to other centres. We're at the Loftus Centre in the city of Vincent at the moment, but we're trying to get into Fremantle and Joondalup and Bunbury as well. So we've got plans to try and get this out there, get the message that this can make a difference.
Yeah, it's an important thing. And then you've got your book here. That's why we're here actually for your book.
Course,
but it's quite an amazing story behind it. So it's very important that people understand that it's where it's come from.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk about it, and I think there is something in it for not only people with Parkinson's, their family, and all the people who work with people with Parkinson's. I think, and unfortunately, because of Parkinson's becoming increasingly common, it's often hard to find a family where someone doesn't know someone who's got Parkinson's disease now. So let's hope I can help.
Yeah, you don't want to have that sort of thing growing in the community, do you? More than
unfortunately it is, and it's been referred to as a pandemic. The escalation of Parkinson's on a global level
is that right?
Is massive, and the World Health Organization found in 1990 there was 3 million people in the world with Parkinson's. 25 years later, in 2010, there were 6 million, and then just 6 years later in 2021 there were 12 million.
Wow,
so
doubled.
That far exceeds the ageing of the population as well. So that's a tremendous
so it's definitely
concern.
A growing issue, not
unfortunately,
a receding one.
Yeah. There are some places where it is going down, but unfortunately in more countries it's going up.
Right, okay. Now, we don't have a lot of time left, so where can people get your book from?
So you can buy it through Book Reality with the publisher Leschenalt Press, but also you can go to the Parkinson's WA website, and they're handling sales within Australia, and for every book they sell on my behalf, I donate them $5. So that's a good way to get it, but also available on all the usual Amazon and other online stores and Kindle.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, David. Wonderful to meet you and hear a little bit about your story. Thank you.
Have you finished building your story and you're not sure which pathway to choose for publishing? The Book Reality Experience is a publishing assistance service offering partnership publishing solutions to authors. We have different pathways available, and we'll recommend what we think works best for you and your story. Check out our website at www.bookreality.com for more information. Together, let's turn your book dream into a reality.
There certainly is a wide range of authors here at the Indie Book Festival in Bunbury. Another fellow who's joining us is David Blacker. David Blacker's career in medicine and neurology spanned 4 decades, during which he helped lead a revolution in the care of acute stroke. As a doctor, mentor and medical researcher, his work has impacted many thousands of patients, hundreds of doctors and numerous scientific medical fields. In 2018, he received the life-changing diagnosis, which most people would dread, of Parkinson's disease, which led to a reshaping of his career to focus on research and advocacy in Parkinson's disease. He now writes and speaks widely about his personal experience with the disease and hopes to assist others by sharing this. Additionally, he's striving to help his medical colleagues gain a greater insight into living with Parkinson's disease and to improve their communication and interactions with people with the disease. This change in director created some unexpected opportunities, such as the surprising collaboration with former national boxing champion Ray Fazio to develop a boxing exercise program for Parkinson's disease. And in 2023, he faced further challenges with complications following prostate cancer surgery and a retinal detachment leading to impaired vision. Using the knowledge gained through exercise-based therapy and with the expertise of his wife Kirsten in yoga, he's fought back to become fitter than ever. And when he came and sat down with me here, I wouldn't have realised, David, that you do indeed have Parkinson's disease, a diagnosis for which I'm very sorry, but very pleased that you don't be exhibiting any of the outward signs that we traditionally expect.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and one of my objectives really is to hopefully demonstrate that you can live well with Parkinson's disease for hopefully some time. But believe me, I have to work at it, and I do. I'm on lots of medications. I follow a very strict exercise program and dietary change, and look after myself a lot better than I was when I was actively practicing doctor. And
What one would have thought as a doctor, you would have been the pinnacle of good health and fitness and led by example.
You'd like to think so, but I know, and I think many of my colleagues are now swinging that way, and but there's also stress, sleep disruption, and busyness, which are huge factors as well.
Yeah.
And the removal of some of that stress, I think, has been important for me.
Do you think your colleagues in the medical profession have never really understood Parkinson's the way that patients experience it?
Oh, look, I think that's possibly true for most diseases, unless you're unlucky enough to have the disease that you're talking about. And it's certainly given me a very unusual position. And when I started to reveal to patients that I too had Parkinson's disease, particularly at the time of their diagnosis, it was such a powerful thing to be able to say, yeah, I've got it and I've had it for 4 or 5 years, and they'd look at me and barely able to see anything, and think, at least I hope, that would be some inspiration to them and give them some optimism. Because
this is a doctor who understands what I'm going through, that kind of thing.
That's exactly right. And generally speaking, I think medical practitioners often have a overly pessimistic approach to many conditions, and part of that's because we tend to always worry about the worst. But with Parkinson's, we're now recognising that particularly lifestyle interventions are a very powerful factor in potentially altering the course of the condition.
When we talk about a disease like Parkinson's, and by the way, the book that David Blacker is featuring today at the book festival, My Fight with Parkinson's Disease, a neurologist with Parkinson's disease. In other words, a brain doctor, for want of a better term, who actually had a brain affliction, which in many respects must have been very challenging because arguably you clinically understood your condition far better than most people would.
Well, I think it's more the things I have seen. I've seen some people with end-stage Parkinson's in hospital and having a bad time, and that can be very confronting. And so there's good bits and bad bits about the extra knowledge.
When we talk about a disease like Parkinson's, looking down the track, do you see it as a disease that ultimately one day will be cured? Or do you see it more as a chronic disease that will be managed well so people will die with it rather than from it?
Well, I'm hoping, we were all hoping for a cure, but I think realistically that, and I suspect we're on the brink of having a much more integrated approach that's going to potentially make it easier for people to live with Parkinson's disease, control their symptoms and live better lives. And there's a lot of interest in exposure to environmental toxins at the moment. It's potentially been one of the underlying causes. And if we could start reducing those environmental exposures, that would hopefully mean there are less people getting Parkinson's.
Well, I guess in the first instance we have to understand what those environmental exposures are.
Yes,
because it could be argued that they're there, but we don't know which ones are the problem because, to be honest, we've never really studied it, have we?
Well, actually, there's been fairly extensive study about a number of specific toxins, including herbicides, to which we're exposed in the air that we breathe and the food that we eat and the water that we drink. And there are other things such as trichloroethylene, which is widely used in dry cleaning and in degreasing mechanical equipment, and also atmospheric pollution with microparticles. So there are quite a few things that have been linked to Parkinson's and other conditions. And the argument is if we could clean up our water, air and food, we could potentially make some progress. And I think there are lessons to be learnt from other conditions such as polio and HIV, where even though there's no cure, these diseases have been controlled.
Yeah. I guess the term we look at is managed. In other words, you can live with them. They're not going to kill you. It's not something you want, but you can at least live with it and have a reasonable life.
Yeah, well, Parkinson's does actually, the older statistics will suggest that there is a reduction in lifespan with PD, but there's more to lifespan than just lifespan. There's
got to be quality as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's really what we try to aim for, so to make people live as well as possible for as long into their lives.
David Blacker, it's good to have you here and thank you very much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
The book is called My Fight with PD, a neurologist with Parkinson's disease.
The excerpt I have for you today is from the introduction section of My Fight with PD, a neurologist with Parkinson's disease. In late 2018, I revealed to family, friends and colleagues that I have PD. This marked a change in the direction of my life and career. It has led me down a path I had never expected to pursue, but in many ways I was well prepared for. Curiously, my own experience with PD may have made my life more meaningful and fulfilling. As a neurologist and medical researcher who has PD, I have a unique opportunity to incorporate what I have experienced as a person with PD into research and treatment for others. This book describes my life story and the impact PD has had on me. Where possible, I try to provide some information about PD as well as my perceptions and feelings. I hope this might benefit others with PD and their families. The acronym FIGHT stands for Feasibility of Instituting Graduated High Intensity Training. This was a clinical feasibility trial of exercise using non-contact boxing that I developed with former boxing champion Ray Fazio and some prominent sports scientists. The experience of designing, undertaking, then having the trial published has been one of the highlights of my career and occurred while I was coming to terms with retiring early from clinical practice due to the impact of PD and a series of other health issues. The power of exercise, positive attitude, and the amazing support from my wife have helped me continue to live well and convinced me that these interventions, when applied promptly and expertly, can alter the course of PD. It has also given me a second career advocating and fighting for the benefit of people with PD. This excerpt peeks into a deeply personal journey and gives you insight into some of the motivations that have pushed him forward onto this pathway. My first takeaway is PD is becoming increasingly common and that it is growing every year. That is a statistic that I don't think is very well known, and this book shines a light on that. My second takeaway was his objective for writing this memoir. He put it out there with the intention of helping others with PD, raising awareness and proving that you can live well in these situations. My third takeaway was good advice for everyone. How much stress and sleep reduction can impact health. There is more to lifespan than lifespan. There is health span. I think that could be one for my wall. What were your key takeaways? If you would like to carry on the conversation with David, then his preferred contact information are all listed in the show notes along with his book details. In the next special episode, you will hear from Danielle D. Drummond. If you are enjoying the show and would like to show some support, then please subscribe and share these episodes with a friend. Or if you want to go the next step, then you can buy us a cuppa. Head on over to ko-fi.com/findingalara. That's ko-fi.com/findingalara. There is an option for you to buy us a cup of tea for $2, or you can join the Shadow Lair for $5 a month, where you receive exclusive content and advanced information about the show. If you would like to get in touch with myself or the team at Bushland Castle Productions, then I'm on Instagram and TikTok as @FindingAlara. There is a Discord channel and Facebook group called Finding Alara Podcast. The Bushland Castle Productions team are on Facebook, Instagram and Discord as BCP Creative, or you can check out the website bushlandcastleproductions.com for the most up-to-date information. If you would like to get in touch with Chris, then he's on Facebook as Chris Ilsley, and if you want to talk to Paul, then he's on Facebook as Paul Vandermeer and has his own podcast, Forest.chat. The music is brought to you by @Keys of Moon Music and is called The Epic Hero. If you enjoyed listening to Finding Alara, have any questions, or just want to share your world with us, then please get in touch. Until next time, keep up the search for your Alara.